Good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of Tommyfield Live, coming to you live from the Oldham Beer Festival in the Queen Elizabeth Hall. With me at the moment, I have Peter Alexander, who is the branch chairman of CAMRA for this area. Hello Peter, what's your duties involved in this?
Well, the festival itself is in its 34th iteration. We support the Mayor of Oldham's appeal. We do this as a service to the Mayor's charity appeal. It involves organising the beer, getting the beer into the hall, setting up the bars, staffing the bars, and of course looking after our customers to make sure we sell all our lovely real ales.
CAMRA, explain what first of all, what does CAMRA stand for and what's
CAMRA
the idea?
stands for Campaign for Real Ale, and it was founded in 1971 when some four guys decided that the beer they were drinking was not what it should be, and the traditional beer, which is matured in the cask, was no longer there. It was being served through carbon dioxide, and the beer was being weakened and watered, and they thought we were going to do something about this, and they formed a little organisation which has grown to the huge organisation it is today with over 100,000 members.
Now, what is the difference between sort of real ale and what you would get normally behind the bar? Not this bar, but I'm talking about a normal bar.
Well, real ale is matured in the cask. It's naturally conditioned. The yeast is live, and it brings a gentle carbon dioxide to the beer, which is natural, rather than forced carbonating it to a fizzy level, which is nothing wrong with that. But we believe in CAMRA that there should be choice, and that choice should include real live beer.
And that's fizzy as well, but not as fizzy?
Not as fizzy. It's more soft in the mouth, it's easier to drink, allows the flavours to come through a lot better than forced carbonated beer, which tends to muffle the flavours a little bit.
What will your duties be today?
Today I'm actually helping on the International Beer Bar, where we sell beers from abroad. And in addition to that, I'm the health and safety officer here, so I'll be making sure everything is done safely and correctly in accordance with our CAMRA national guidelines.
Obviously, last year there was several issues with your beers running out towards the end of the second day. Have we had any problems with that this year, or?
Well, unfortunately, the name of the game is to sell beer, and that's why we say that we will hope to open to a certain time, subject to the availability of beer. It's a live product, it goes off, we can't keep it, we must sell it, and if people are here want to drink it, we sell it to them.
So it's a live product. Does that mean that by the very nature of the word live, does it go dead after the end of the day, or how does that work?
Well, as a live product, what it means is naturally conditions. The CO2 in the cask is created by the yeast. As the yeast fades, the CO2 fades. So it has to be consumed within 3 days to make it at its best.
And just out of curiosity, let's assume that you don't sell as much, or you don't sell, and you have left over, for want of a better word. What do you do with that? Does that go back to a bar somewhere? Or
no, I'm afraid you can't do that, because there's a sediment in these beers. The beer, once disturbed, can't be resold. So if in the unlikely event our lovely customers don't drink it all, the staff will have a couple of pints, but if we can't sell it, and it won't happen, I'm sure, it goes down the drain, I'm afraid.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of volunteers around today. An event like this would require quite a lot. Can you just tell us a bit sort of how many there are and what they'll be doing?
Yeah, we probably have something like 50 or 60 volunteers over the festival, but not all at once. They'll do various things. Serving beer is the main thing, because it's a beer festival after all. People will do any jobs. CAMRA members are very, very willing.
I noticed that we have a big plasma screen at the back of the bar, and it's showing. Is it just showing different all the different beers that you have? Is that the?
Yes, that's just to give the customers a chance to. There's a little programme, but it gives them a chance to actually see what's actually available on the bar. Because obviously, we hope some of the beers will be drunk and some run out, and the plasma screen tells us what's currently available.
Yes, I do notice you have a little. You do have a little leaflet. It's an A4.
Yeah, you need good eyesight for that one.
Yes, I noticed you do need good eyesight for that one. Yes, but you're certainly that big plasma screen, you can certainly see things like cider flavour with elderflower 4%. So you've got the percentages as well.
Yeah, because it's good. We like people to drink beer and cider, but we don't like people to be unaware of how strong or otherwise they might be. We like to give people information to make an informed choice. Some people like a stronger beer and only have 1 or 2. Some people like a weak beer, so they can have 3 or 4. That's roughly how it works.
I see. So what kind of percentages do the beers have? I mean, what's the sort of... there's one at 8%, but that's a cider.
Yeah, ciders tend to be stronger. It's not a rule of... not a straightforward rule of thumb, but ciders do tend to be stronger, and they tend not to be drunk in pints. They tend to be a smaller measure, you don't...
In genteel glasses, yes.
Yeah, you certainly don't want pints of 8% cider, not as a rule, no.
I made that mistake last year, just before I came on for doing an interview here. So.
Yeah, some people do make that mistake, and hopefully they'll live to regret it.
So remember, Jack, the idea is not to get drunk.
I'll bear that in mind.
I need to have you still sober by the end of the day.
I can't guarantee that, I'm afraid.
Well, of course, our volunteers will make sure that you're not going too far.
But joining us around the table, we've got our good friend Arthur Chorley. Hi, Arthur.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
What do you make of this event? Because it's been at the Queen Elizabeth Hall now for a fair few years, but you remember it way back before then, don't you?
Yes, when it was at Warner Park. It's been there. It was there for many years, and things moved around, and various things happened. And now we're eventually in the Queen Elizabeth Hall, where there's quite a gathering of people. I never miss a beer festival.
Because, of course, it is worthwhile. It goes to an all very, very worthwhile cause the Mayor of Oldham's Truly Wished campaign this year.
And we're back at the beer festival in the Queen Elizabeth Hall. And I have with me Ken Lynch from Serious Brewing, Rochdale. Tell me, Ken, what inspired you to start brewing this particular style of beer, and what makes it unique?
Well, I mean, I was a long-time drinker of real ale. I've frequented lots of sort of real ale pubs, and it just got more of an interest into it. I started home brewing, and it's a kind of slippery slope. Sometimes you end up doing something as a hobby, and then you look and think, well, maybe I could make a go of this as a business. And of course, when people asked me, when I said I was setting up a microbrewery, people said to me, "Are you serious?" And there came the name of the brewery through the people's response, and it was a love of beer, and I'm learning more about how the different ingredients go together to make so many different flavours of beer. I mean, if you've tried any of the beers here, not one tastes the same as any other.
So if it's not a secret, how do you get the right flavour?
Well, it's not a secret. There's plenty of information with the wonders of the internet and books and things like that. So there's 4 key ingredients. You've got the water, the malt, the hops, and the yeast. The process is a fairly straightforward process. You make a mash out of the malt, which is adding hot water to different varieties of malt. So you've got a base malt, which gives you mainly sugar, and we then use all kinds of different dark malts that have been roasted or treated in different ways to give us roasty flavours and darker coloured beers like stouts. And then that gets boiled with hops, which again are kind of like the flowers of the hop plant, and they have so many different flavours, different aromas. You can get very herbal or flowery, or even fruit, passion fruit and mango, straight from.
See, right, and so how does this you condition the cask? Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
cask conditioned.
So how's that different from other beers serving methods?
Well, the keg style beer is that's top pressure carbonated. You add the CO2. Cask conditioned, you just allow a little bit of the yeast, and it naturally carbonates. It's from the yeast, so you get a gentler carbonation. You don't get a big fizz, and you can get some more complex flavours because you've allowed that beer to mature rather than using an industrial process to add your desired level of fizz to get it to the public. And
I have learned today that the amount of fizz that goes into real ale is much lower than the normal normal beers. And is this the standard throughout the real ale industry?
Yes, because they're not a pressure vessel. The casks so if you overpressure it, you get a nice beer shower. They burst, and so it is in the nature of the container that they are lower carbonation, lower levels of fizz.
I've noticed you've got three beers here today.
Yes.
Do you want to just talk a little bit about those?
Well, the Moonlight Stout is our most well-known one. We've won many CAMRA awards for that. It's won a bronze twice in the Northwest Regional CAMRA Champion Beer of Britain. That's our stout. I don't know if anybody can guess the musical reference of Moonlight, Serious Moonlight. So
I think Ian's worked it out.
Yeah. David Bowie.
David Bowie, yes.
The Whitewell, that's our sort of house beer. We recently opened a micropub just north of Rochdale in a place called Waterfoot. It's just outside of Rottenstall. And that's our house beer there. We have that on permanently. And then the Flavum Pale, that I have a real fondness for Belgian style beers, and that gets a lot of its flavour from the yeast and the fermentation process. That the yeasts work differently and they produce different chemicals as they different flavour chemicals as it does its fermentation. So it's not just producing the alcohol, it's producing all these kind of floral and fruity and almost bubblegum flavours sometimes.
I'm joined here by Paul, who is attending the festival. Hello, Paul.
Hello there.
And have you been to the festival before?
I have been a few times in the past, yeah.
And I noticed you've got one of the festival glasses there. What are you on at the moment?
That is the J.W. Lee's Pale Ale. I think it's called Session Pale. Very nice. I'm very impressed that J.W. Lee's are doing this, and hopefully I'll have it in their pubs and I'll look out for it. I always try and seek out real ale as much as I can. I like to support the local breweries, so I'm very impressed to see Hayward's own Phoenix brewery here today, and also a few from Rochdale that I was unaware of.
And anything else you will be sort of sampling today, or is it just sort of you're going to pick and choose?
Well, I kind of pretty much know what I like. I tend to like sort of session bits, old-fashioned style session bitters. I'm not a big fan of trendy craft IPAs with pumpkin spice and what have you. I really turn my nose up at those. I am a bit of a grumpy old man in that respect. I like my old-fashioned session bitters, the sort of thing my grandfather might have drunk about 70 years ago. That's generally what I like.
Well, that's sort of part of the whole thing of CAMRA, isn't it? Going back to that old sort of, traditional real ale.
Oh, most definitely.
Tradition.
Yes.
Are you a CAMRA member, or are you?
I am a CAMRA member. Unfortunately, I must confess, I did let my membership lapse for a few years, but a couple of years ago, CAMRA member, volunteer, I suppose, or activist, came up to me, and I've renewed it. So hopefully I've redeemed myself in that aspect.
Andy, you're the event organiser, is that right?
Certainly, I'm festival organiser for Oldham Beer and Cider Festival this year. Well, this year and last year and next year as well.
Oh, that must be a tremendous amount of work to get all this organised.
It's a lot of work. We'll probably have a few weeks break, then we'll have a little meeting with all the volunteers. One, to thank the volunteers who come up and turn up, because no one's working this festival is actually paid to do it. We're all volunteers, and it's a bit of a thank you for them, but it's also a business meeting as well. So it'll be one of those: what went well, what didn't go well, what can we improve, what do we need to ditch, what do we need to do better, etc., etc. And then in about a couple of months after that, we'll start the detailed planning. So it's about 9 months before we'll start working on for the next event.
You mentioned that you had roughly, you've got 9 months worth of planning. And could you put that into hours? Or man hours?
I wish I could. This last week's been virtually, put it this way, I'm retired now, but I've never worked as hard when they actually paid for a living as I actually work now doing this beer festival.
I know how you feel. Do you have a target for the money you're wanting to raise?
So we know what we'd like to raise, and we have a budget which we think we're going to work to, because we know approximately what the costs are of staging the event, i.e. buying beers, cider, wine principally, but all the additional costs like transport, equipment, stuff bits of equipment which has to be hired in. And we try to aim for around, well, last year we rose about £5,500 for the MERS charity just from the one event, and the aim is to try and always make that a little better. So this year we've tried to major on getting sponsorship for the cast. So we've been inviting companies to come and sponsor a cask end, basically, which helps defray the cost. Now, if we could get all 57 casks sponsored, we've virtually paid for the beer. We'd have, the MERS charity wouldn't have to pay anything for the beer. So it'd be a win-win from the get-go sort of thing. Every pint sold goes to the MERS charity sort of thing. That's what we try to aim for. So really, there's no target. The aim is to make a profit, but let's try and maximise that profit to get as much as we can, and for the charity.
Jack, you've got just a breaking news you were saying you wanted to ask about.
I did, yes. The festival originally had said that we were going to do free admission from 4 o'clock. That's now been brought forward to immediately. So we've got free admission to the festival from now on. So come along down if you fancy a couple of drinks.
Andy, why have we reduced, or not reduced, taken away the admission fee?
Well, basically, it's all about being fair to the people who come in. The beer selection has just gone down to a level where we think it's not fair to actually charge people to come in any longer. We're down to now half the cask which we got in, virtually, is still on. So, it's getting to, it's a judgment call really about when we could have still charged people to come in, but they're not getting the selection that they could have got yesterday. So it's about being fair and honest with people and encouraging to come in. It's not like, hopefully they'll come in, fill the boots, sell them and buy the beer up sort of thing, but I don't think we're in any danger of sort of not selling out. So it's a case of when it actually goes sort of thing.
I wanted just to ask Andy something, because you and I have worked kind of closely on the Mayor's Charity Committee. I suppose the question I really want to ask is, what do you do on a Saturday night when you get home after the festival?
Collapse.
Because it makes me, like you said, you're a bit of a workaholic. Anyway, we joke about that. Do you find that as the festival progresses, that people who come along maybe get a little bit more, shall we say, rowdy?
You could say that. I mean, we have our one or two characters who regularly turn up and are generally sort of get more merrier as the event goes on and just a little more exuberant. But the volume levels do increase as the festival goes on, sort of thing. So I don't say it gets to the point where we'd all need ear defenders at the end of the evening, but it does get a little bit red. But generally speaking, the good thing about these beer festivals are they're quite, well, not controlled, but they're quite responsible events. People are here to sample beer, not to go and get out and get raving drunk.
Yeah. So while you're here, Andy, as the festival organiser, you've got some news for us, because you said right at the start that you've been doing it for a good number of years.
Yeah.
But it ain't going to finish today, is it?
No, there's been all sorts of rumours that the Queen Elizabeth Hall will not be available for the festival next year. Well, I can actually say we've physically booked the hall for the 4th and 5th of April next year. Same time, same place. It might well be the last beer festival in this hall. There's been all sorts of rumours going round. Probably is the last beer festival in this hall next year, but we're back here next year. And we'll be trying to see what we can do to arrange the beer festival in the new premises beyond 2025.
Beyond that, yeah.
And I'm joined by Alex, who is another one of the guests here today. And what's brought you here?
Try out some ciders for me. More of a cider drinker than ale.
You're in good company here.
What, any particular type of fruit that you like?
I mean, apple cider is the obvious one, isn't it? So I'm here to see what else I've never tried before.
Pears? You can get pear cider. Well,
Pear cider,
Jack,
yeah.
you're better at this than me.
I'm no expert. I just drink the stuff, I'm afraid. There are plenty of flavours going today. Blueberry, elderflower, raspberry, strawberry. Just seeing off the top of my head here.
Yeah, they all sound good.
Yes, I think I'll be working my way around there in our break in the next few minutes.
I'm with Neil Williams, who's a volunteer. What are your duties as a volunteer here?
Well, we start off on Wednesday, getting the beer in, the stillage up, and setting the hall out and everything. So it was a full day on Wednesday, bringing everything up into the hall and then setting it up. So we got that done. We have to get the beer up because it needs to lay still for 2 days before we start. So, to make sure it's as clear as possible. So
I see. You'll need to forgive me because I'm not quite an expert on the.
If it was keg beer, it wouldn't be a problem. But cask ale, we do need to leave.
So it has a sediment.
Yeah? Yes.
Yeah. All right. So you've got to have it settled, and then you can. So you set up the where
the stillage and the bars. They've all got to be built. Everything's brought in.
And do you actually do that?
Yeah, we do, well, quite a team of us, yes. About 20 of us.
So you actually hammer and nails type?
Oh, yeah, the whole thing, yeah.
The whole thing? Right.
Oh, yeah, start from scratch.
And then, what did you do on Thursday?
Thursday really is then making sure the tables are right, getting everything, the glasses washed. My job actually this year, for the first time, has been washing all the glasses. Not by hand, but in a machine. But even so, that was 1,100, I think, glasses to get through and get washed and dried and ready. So it's quite important, really. And sometimes you could forget the glasses, but if you haven't got glasses, then you've got a problem.
Very true. Okay, so you had the glass. So that's your principal job. So during the festival, what is it? Are you still washing glasses? Or
No, I've come off the glass washing and I'm behind the bar now. So last night I was behind from 5 o'clock until 10:30 when we closed, and it was very busy indeed. So which was good. And of interest to me this year is that I went to Nottingham University, and the beers, half the beers have come from that area, so Nottingham and East Midlands. So some of the breweries were there when I was there 50 years ago. Quite a few are new ones, but like Shipstones, for instance, and they were breweries then when I was at Nottingham 50 years ago. So, so it's been of interest to me. I would say, actually, the beer is a lot better than it used to be when I remember it.
You are going to be you're involved in the breakdown, yes?
Yes, yeah. So when the beer is finished, or at 7 o'clock tonight, we will be then starting to take everything down again. So strip it all out. We'll come back tomorrow morning and move everything in the van and get it back into the storage units that we've got. So it takes quite a few hours to do that. It's a bit quicker than setting up.
Jack, when we had our break, what did you get? What did you have?
I sort of had a few samples. I tried the elderflower cider and one called it was a Perry by Torcard, which are in Nottinghamshire brand, and really enjoyed them both. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything particular about the flavours? Could you put a pairing of food to any of them?
No, I couldn't pair anything. I'm afraid. I haven't got the palate for it.
I see. So, just out of curiosity, what did you have for lunch?
Meat and potato pie with mushy peas and gravy. Not a heavily northern meal.
Health freaks, aren't we? Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I'm Sean O'Mahony. I'm the Regional Young Members Coordinator for CAMRA for Greater Manchester, and I'm also the Chair of the Central Manchester branch as well. So officially in the role, it's ensuring that young members are heard and any concerns that current young members have within CAMRA are relayed up to the region and national. However, I want the remit to expand more, for it to be a more of a active thing to get more young members within CAMRA, since the average age of CAMRA members is quite old, and if young members don't join, CAMRA will cease to be in a number of years.
So Sean, you obviously somebody who's trying to attract new members into CAMRA. Is there not a danger, do you think, that people who don't know the work of CAMRA might think, oh, young people, beer, the two can be quite volatile? How do you kind of get around that problem?
Yeah, so I completely agree, and I didn't take on the role thinking it would be easy. I'm aware that there's a lot of stigma with CAMRA, and CAMRA has a reputation of only being cask beer that is in what people usually call old men pubs. And if you do approach people, especially younger people, go, do you want to be part of CAMRA? They will either go, either watch CAMRA or, oh, that old man club thing, no, I'm fine. And it's a real issue, I completely agree. And I think showing CAMRA to be more than that actively is a way to sort of defeat that. And a few ways I'm trying to get around that is by being a young face that's approaching and saying, hey, have you heard of CAMRA? Are you CAMRA member? No, right, here are all the benefits, and just talking through it and give them a sort of different experience today to what they might have had. And the other part is to fight against the other stigmas. So the part about it being an old man's club, old traditional pubs, like, to get around that, I want to be promoting things like tap rooms. Manchester as a region has many fantastic pubs. It has a lot of family and traditional pubs, however, it's got many amazing tap rooms. Sonoma by Track is a beautiful cask beer. It's well known to be a Manchester cask beer. A real ale. However, they do a lot of great keg beer, so having events at places like that already have a younger atmosphere, trying to sort of pivot CAMRA into doing activities more like that, promoting Cider and Perry, I think all of that is quite key to fight against that stigma.
You're clearly very knowledgeable and very passionate about what you're doing, Sean. Looking around the Queen Elizabeth Hall here today, are you pleased with the kind of fruits of your labour? We've got a few young people. It's obviously you've got to be 18 at least.
Yeah.
Are you pleased with the turnout from that sector at this festival?
Yeah, so in the first hour of the festival, it didn't look like there were many people in the room under 30. However, in the hour and a half after that, I've seen more young members join, which I'm happy about, and I've even talked to a few of them who aren't CAMRA members, and some of them are very interested for what CAMRA has to offer, and I do hope later on in this festival they come back round, I go back to them and sign them up, and I'll be very pleased if I get a good few young members signed up today. And yeah, I'm happy with the outcome so far. I'd be even more happy if I get some of them to sign up.
And I'm with Tracy and Calum, a couple of customers that have come into the beer festival. What brought you here today?
I've drank ciders over the years that I quite like, so I thought, you know what, come here, try some that I've not tried before, and it's been nice so far.
Yeah. And I had the yesterday. I was here yesterday, by the way, so come back today.
So you obviously enjoyed it yesterday.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. But I had the Checkmate Session Pale yesterday. Didn't like that at all.
You don't strike me as a pale drinker in
general.
No,
but I thought I'd try it, and I did, because that's what you're here for at the end of the day.
Any particular brands or styles that you've noticed that are becoming more and more popular?
I have noticed that milds seem to be making a bit of a comeback. My sister and my dad are actually big mild drinkers these days, so yeah.
What would you say is the most unique or unusual beer that you've, drink that you've tried?
There are some really cloudy ciders that are quite strong, like 9% ones, where I do think they're quite unusual, mostly because they just knock my socks off. But they're pretty strange.
You're a loyal supporter of the beer festival here, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get my long service medal.
How many years have you been coming to it?
Well, I think of the 34, probably 32.
Good grief, that must be a kind of a record, because I suppose the very early days were a bit hit and miss, maybe.
Yeah, it was in Wormouth Music Rooms.
Yeah.
Before it moved here to the Civic Centre in Oldham, which has been extremely successful ever since.
Oh yeah. And I mean, obviously, the future of this building, as Andy, the festival organiser, mentioned a few minutes ago, obviously the Queen Elizabeth Hall will not be here forever. We'll leave it like that.
Well, I hope they find a venue that can cater for it, because you've probably done talking to people that come from a much wider area than just the Oldham community. And the good thing about it is, of course, that it raises a lot of money for local charities.
Absolutely.
I would guess over the 34 years it's raised at £150,000.
Wow, that is incredible.
It's all gone to the charities across the borough and wider as well. So we need to keep that tradition going. I mean, I don't know whether the new theatre would be adaptable.
There'll be lots of opportunities, lots of different spaces for it to slot into. When you were the mayor of Oldham, which is a few years ago now, remind me when that was.
1999 to 2000.
How much did the festival raise for your charities at the time?
About 7,000, I think.
Wow.
Out of 84,000.
Do you think that the people of Oldham, John, are finding life difficult in 2024 to support these kind of events, because demands on the time and pocket are ever increasing, aren't they?
Well, I wasn't here yesterday, but apparently they've sold out of some of the beers last night, so you put on the right event, people turn up for it. Yes, times are hard, but people will come along to events like this. They meet people I've just met colleagues I haven't seen for 12 months. So, yeah, times are tough, but people still... Oldham people are very generous. I saw an article not long ago that says Oldham people, pound for pound, are the 8th most generous people in the country. The most generous people in the country are from Sunderland, apparently.
Right.
And the least most generous people are from London.
Maybe. I'm not surprised. It does really, doesn't it? So you've come from the table 2 doors from where we're broadcasting today, and you brought your pint of whatever. Now, are you a bit of a connoisseur, John? Because let's face it, as a former civic leader, you'll have been used to being wined and dined around the mayoral year events, won't you?
Yeah.
Is it nice to just come back to Oldham and pick up a pint of Old and Filthy? Or what is it you're drinking?
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to be very careful when you're the mayor. You don't get too much down you because people take notice. I think I only got too much one night at Bolton when he provided me with half a bottle of brandy, and I was sat in the chair. I couldn't get up because the chain was holding me down. I didn't fall over.
Now, do you know what you've actually got in your glass there? I mean, have you
forgotten it? It's a Belgian beer, dark beer.
Something from a cask, but you can't remember what it's.
I like the continental beers. And to be fair, it's a bit of a lottery when you go to the main bar.
Yeah.
They can be exceedingly good, or it can be vinegar.
Ooh, so, now you see, you are a bit of a
bit
of a dark horse with it.
Well, I've had John Lee Lasers this afternoon.
Oh, you're keeping it local.
I kept it local, yeah.
Are you staying till the, dare I say, bitter end?
No.
You've got a home to go to.